journey to a sinful island paradise where musicians turned actors have their wildest desires realized in virtual worlds. And there are weapons that can trap you in those virtual worlds. And the source codes to the weapons that trap you in those virtual worlds can be tattooed onto your body. We watched Cyber Bandits today on
The f*** is this?
Kaz, what's a rent boy?
What's a red boy?
What's a rent boy? R-E-N-T.
Oh, a rent boy. Oh, that's a boy. That's a boy that you rent for
like day labor or something.
Well, I thought it'd be like
I don't know how to break this to you. It's not for day labor. No, it's not.
Is it a prostitute?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. It's a higher class of prostitute.
Okay.
Not that all prostitutes aren't classy, but
Okay. I was doing the thing that you're not supposed to do, and I was reading some of the YouTube comments on one of our earlier episodes. I'm not going to say this person's name, but on our Argento's Dracula episode, comment is, sounds like a couple of rent boys discussing the cost of handbags in a public lavatory.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to sound like, but apparently it sounds like a meandering discussion about Argento's Dracula.
I think I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna take the high road here. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Thank you, anonymous commenter. Thank you for using the classier rent boy, but just a mild correction. I am in fact a rent man. So, you have to, find that. Yeah, I didn't know how to respond to that. Okay, so cheers!
Yeah, cheers to you, commenter. Thanks
Cheers
for checking out our video and reaching out to us.
This was our strongest preamble yet. Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, to The Fuck Is This, where we dive through DVD bins, sort through streaming apps to find the weird, the bizarre, and the unloved. I'm your host, Kaz Lesgard, and joining me always is my co-host...
What? Oh, that. Yeah. Do you want to know why that is?
Do you possibly want to explain that, please, to everyone? Okay, so normally Jameson sends me the Zoom meeting invite through Facebook, but this time we were playing around with a webcam, so I got an additional email from him, but it was an email from... I did not know who that was.
No, that's me. That is, so I guess, I have different email accounts. I have one that's, for my professional stuff, I have one that's sort of, for my personal stuff, and I have one bullshit one that I use to, sign up for any kind of news service so I don't get, bombarded with any kind of, fucking counteroffers or whatever. And I guess when I originally signed up for Zoom on, a different browser, I used my very old, when I was, in art school, and I would just, God, why did we have that? Because I didn't have Adobe, what the hell's it called? Not Acrobat. The stuff that you can make PDFs out of. And back in the day of 2006, you can get free stuff converted into PDFs on their website, but you only get a trial of 5. So in school, when I had to make a ton of PDFs, I would originally have to start cooking up new email addresses.
So you cooked up a name that basically sounds like you're the moderator for a circle jerk.
Exactly. I am the king of all masturbation.
I was waiting for that Zoom meeting window to open, and then I'm like, nah, I really hope it's
Jameson, is that you?
All right. Well, sitting quietly and getting more and more perturbed by the moment is our guest for this episode. He's an actor, an improviser, a game master, and the co-founder of YVR Dungeon Masters, bringing players to Dungeon Masters and Dungeon Masters to players, Montana Rosalle. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is it's going to be a fun one.
You're a good sport.
Oh, yeah.
We always like to have fun, sprinkled with a little bit of good-natured ribbing at each other's expenses here. Montana, on this podcast, we watch weird, crazy, bizarre, baffling, strange, questionable films. What would you say is one of the weirdest movies that you've ever watched?
The weirdest movie that I've ever watched is actually one of my favorite movies. It's called Taxidermia.
Never heard of it.
Taxidermia?
Yeah.
It's very rare that someone stumps me. I've legitimately never heard of that before. Please tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's about these 3 different stories about, I guess, Middle Eastern European Middle European kind of thing. I'm not really sure where it's from, but the first story is about a gentleman that lives in a shack on a pig farm that pees fire. out of his penis, and his love that he has for this woman that doesn't live there. And then the movie kind of takes that story and moves it on to the professional eater that eats and eats and eats and stuff and finds love with another professional eater, and like the love that they share with each other. I believe the third one is, yes, about the taxidermist that actually lives his life going by and doing other, taxidermy things. It's a very dark, gritty movie that has a very hopeful overtone to it.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
This sounds amazing.
Is it a foreign film or?
Yes, it is absolutely a foreign film.
What country is it from?
I have no idea. I found it at Rogers Video a long time ago when I was like living in Maple Ridge and I moved back there. Reasons, life, suck.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was going to Rogers Video and I picked out 3 movies, 2 of which were amazing. Another one was How to Swim Like a Dolphin for like 99 cents.
Like an instructional video or like an actual movie?
It was a claymation movie about this person that finds an instructional book that teaches them how to. Anyways, it's another about 3 different stories. There's like an angel in it. It's this weird.
Montana, you're gonna have to like write down a list of movies for us to watch as future episodes on this podcast.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Rarely does a guest mention something that I've never heard of before. You've mentioned 2 now.
The third was the worst movie I've ever seen, which was War of the Dead.
War of the Dead.
Now that's not a Romero, is it?
No, it sounds like it. It seems like it, but it's not. It's this offshoot, horrible, low-budget zombie movie about like how zombies were created in like this Russian experiment or something like that for the Germans, or I don't know. The story plot doesn't make any sense, and it's very dark and gritty. You don't really have a lot of the story being told, and it's just, I don't know. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
But hey, it wasn't a complete wash, because at least at least at the end you learned how to swim like a dolphin for 99 cents. So
oh yeah, exactly. Oh, you should see me.
Month.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Did you go to the clerk at the video store and says like, "Hey, this says it's only 99 cents. What can you give me for it?"
The clerk looked at the DVD and said, This isn't ours. Someone else brought this in and left it on the shelf. 99 cents, I guess that's what it says. And then you unleash an evil spell by watching the DVD. That's great. I'm legitimately fascinated. I'm going to have to look both those up after we're done recording. We're watching something equally fascinating today. Jameson, what's the movie on the docket for today?
Today we will be watching 1990 whenever's Cyber Bandits. Now, this is a movie that we kind of stumbled upon while we were doing our research for a movie we did earlier this year called My Brother the Pig. I watched the trailer for this movie and it would look fascinating to me. For one reason where like I recognized one of the actors, but I couldn't remember from where. It turns out he was sort of a supporting character in this movie we did like way early in the history of the podcast. I think it was like our 3rd or 4th episode called Aspen Extreme. Episode 5.
Aspen Extreme.
Yeah, it was not a very good movie. We tore it to pieces, but like neither of us liked it. And yet it turned out to be one of our most popular episodes on YouTube. Like it was like the first one to crack 1,000 views. And, with the release of Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever the fuck that game's called coming out next month, I figure what a perfect marriage. This is going to be our cyber movie and like combining one of our more popular episodes. So this episode's going to go through the fucking roof as far as viewership goes.
Oh yeah. We're going to corner that cyberpunk crowd, specifically that. Is that game actually coming out? Because it feels like every time they release something for that, it's another, 3 months away.
I mean, they say come hell or high water, it's getting released next month, so I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, as we were doing the episode, Montana, for My Brother the Pig, we were watching the trailer to Cyber Bandits, because it is the same director, Eric Fleming, as My Brother the Pig, and I think, Jameson, you and I both had a similar experience where we were watching the trailer for Cyber Bandits before we started watching My Brother the Pig for that episode, and I think you and I both had the same realization at the same time. Man, we would much rather be watching Cyber Bandits right now than this fucking Scarlett Johansson teen comedy about magic Latinas. That movie was garbage.
Cyber Time Bandits. So I've never heard about this movie. I didn't watch a trailer or anything like that. Just from the title, I can either tell that it's a movie about these bandits that travel through time and cyberspace.
It's just Cyber Bandits.
Oh, Cyber Bandits.
I think you're conflating this movie with the Terry Gilliam film Time Bandits.
Oh, I am.
Which is great, because this is the second episode in a row where Terry Gilliam has just come up in conversation, so it tracks for us. It's all right, yes.
One more and we get a free appearance from Terry Gilliam.
To our knowledge, no time travel is in this movie, but we don't know that, so anyway.
Oh, I know, I've seen this movie. I didn't wait for you, Kaz, I watched this. I won't go into like too much detail on the director Eric Flynn because we did that before on the My Brother the Pig.
There's also nothing interesting to say about him, so.
What's interesting, the most interesting I found was that he was like just a USC graduate by the time he did this movie. So he did that Silver Surfer movie that we saw, that short film that he did. I guess that was sort of like his grad film or like something to show for like a special effects showcase. And then he went on to direct this, like right away. So like a film school graduate or whatever, his first movie has like a pretty eclectic cast to it and a substantial special effects budget. How the fuck did he land that as his first gig?
Now, Montana, you watched that Silver Surfer short film that's available on YouTube. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I did. So for the Silver Surfer, he seems to travel through space to come to Earth to find a child, a vulnerable child that is getting horribly picked on and bullied, to save the child from these bullies. But not only that, to use his cosmic powers, his godlike abilities to shift matter in space, to change his T-1000 into him, the Silver Surfer, and gives the boys such a confident nod of, you know who's the man.
Yeah.
And then just leaves.
Yeah. What the fuck, Silver Surfer?
That was the one reason he came to Earth. Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with the kid being bullied. His cosmic sense just alerted him to the fact that someone was playing around with a Terminator action figure, and he just decided in the depths of space, no, we're not going to have any of that bullshit right here.
Yeah.
That's just, it must be like a weird, subtle dig on the fact that the T-1000 is like a liquid metal silver creature, so whenever they were developing the special effects for this short film, they must have been all like, man, fuck that metal silver guy. Our metal silver guy looks like 10 times better.
Yeah, the original.
He doesn't.
The first and the best, and don't you forget it.
The 4-minute Silver Surfer movie doesn't look as good as Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of the best looking movies of all time. No. So who's in this cast, Jameson?
Alright, so like I mentioned, it's kind of a pretty eclectic cast here. So,
I will mention, sorry, I will let you continue. I will mention the interesting thing about this cast, there are 3 music stars.
Yeah, so leading this cast here, the protagonist is a man named Martin Kemp, who played Franz in Aspen Extreme, and that character was like typical sports movie rival if Aspen Extreme was supposed to be like a sports movie, but it wasn't.
I'm still utterly amazed, Jameson, that you were able to identify this guy's face in one movie and a trailer for a different movie, because I had forgotten entirely about this character.
I guess it was just like just fresh in my mind. But yeah, he's also like the bassist for Spandau Ballet, which is a band that I'm sure people were like, I've never heard of this band. I've never heard of any of their songs. Yes, you have. You probably just don't remember it. They did True, which is that sort of go-to prom, like a high school prom scene, slow dance number.
It's the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba song. Yeah, that one, yeah. Before we move on, can either of you think of any other bassists that had a movie career? He might be the only one. There aren't a ton of famous bassists. Oh wait, I literally just thought of one. Flea. Flea has a bit of a movie career.
Oh, so,
yeah. Yeah. I guess there's 2 there. So there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Good job, Cass. Also, we got a lady named Alexandra Paul, who was on Baywatch. We got Adam Ant, British rocker from back in the day. I can't name a single Adam Ant song, and I'm a bit of a classic rock guy, but I don't know.
In preparation for this episode, yesterday, I listened to a lot of Spandau Ballet. I listened to a lot of Adam and the Ants. Major blind spot. Never heard of Adam and the Ants before. That is not something I'm remotely familiar of. They don't really seem to have one big song. They fit a very specific niche. I don't know what the fan base for Adam and the Ants looks like. It may not exist anymore. But Adam Ant, yes, that is a person who exists. He was in other movies. All I know is that I had a picture book growing up as a kid about Adam Ant, and he was trying to find his little caterpillar dog, and he was meeting all of his bug friends.
Do you mean the Hanna-Barbera Adam Ant? Like ATOM Ant?
That's Atom Ant. That's a different thing, yeah. But
How many fucking Adam Ants are there?
At least 3.
Holy shit. All right. Next we have Grace Jones. Jamaican model, actress, singer, like a real triple threat, this lady. She was fucking everywhere in the 80s, wasn't she?
Did you say Grace Jones?
Grace Jones in this.
Oh, my aunt actually stunt doubled for her like a long time ago.
No way.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's an
yeah.
awesome coincidence. That's
Whoa.
really cool. For what?
Yeah.
For what movie? Was it for View to a Kill?
Not sure. God, I wish I had known. But my aunt's done like a bunch of different movies. She used to be a stunt woman. She did like X-Men, Beastmaster, and other things like that. But I'm not sure of her complete roster, but I do remember her. She talked about meeting Grace Jones and that being like one of the coolest things that she'd actually experienced. Met her and said that she was a really nice person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Grace Jones is one of the coolest people on the fucking planet, so that's awesome. Remind me when this episode is over to get your aunt's email.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but what a remarkable woman. She's like on these like consistent like 100 most influential women in music. She's like consistently in like, at least the top 50 sometimes. And as I understand it, she has a big influence on like the drag community. Is that true?
Who are you asking?
You, Cass.
Are you asking me? Are you asking me because I'm the queer one?
You said you had lots to talk about with Grace Jones, and like, was that it?
I wouldn't know. I would be misquoting something. I could certainly see that because Grace Jones does have that very specific androgynous quality, so I can certainly see her being adopted among the drag community as something of an icon. Yeah, but like I said, I'm not a subject. I'm not a. I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
I assumed because like you were in the Rocky Horror Show, you kind of had your thumb on the pulse of the drag community to a degree.
That's right. I was in one production of a play once that we rehearsed for a month and a half, and because of that, I'm an expert on the drag scene. Yes. You can quote me on that. It's on the internet now, so it must be true.
Just a couple of rent boys.
I also listened to a bunch of Grace Jones's music yesterday. It's really interesting. I couldn't really get into it. I have a feeling there's a lot more backstory and reading I need to do on Grace Jones's music career before I fully understand what's going on with it. There's a lot of collaboration. She does a lot of songs in French. About like a fourth of the songs I heard from her are all in French, which is not what I was expecting. But yeah, she seems like a fascinating lady, and she's always fun to watch in a movie, so that's great. We're very excited. She'll probably class this whole junction up.
So the next two here, I'll just run through them pretty quickly because I really want to get to the last guy on my list here. We got Henry Gibson, who was the head Nazi in Blues Brothers, and he played a priest in Wedding Crashers.
Illinois Nazis.
Fucking hate Illinois Nazis. Robert Hayes, who played Ted Stryker in Airplane 1 and 2. He plays the bad guy, which I wasn't expecting. And last, but certainly not least, is David Lopan himself, James Hong.
This guy's awesome. What an amazing decades-long career this guy has had. You know who we're talking about, Montana?
I'm actually unsure.
Oh!
What's characters that he might have played?
Do you remember that one movie with the old Chinese guy? That's James Hong.
Yes, yeah. I recognize him now.
Like Jameson said, his most high-profile role is probably the main villain from Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh.
He's also the voice of the best character in the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, the voice of the Goose Dad, if you've seen those. Yeah.
He was in the famous episode of Seinfeld where they couldn't get a table at the Chinese restaurant. He was the maitre d' there. No, he's one of those like character actors that you instantly recognize him from like other things that you've seen him in. And he's been like acting pretty consistently since like the 1950s, I think.
He has something crazy like 300 acting credits. Yeah, no, he's an
Frankly, I'm
icon
surprised it's taken us this long to find a movie that has James Hong in it.
And now he'll probably keep popping up in all sorts of things. No, I was going through his career. There's definitely one or two movies with him in it. This won't be the first or last time he appears on this show. I guarantee it.
Did you just say it won't be the first time he's appeared on this podcast? This literally is the first time he's appeared on this podcast.
Retroactively, if I go back and insert a different episode before this one, it could happen.
Sneaky bastard. All right, that's all I got to say about this movie.
The sneaky little rent boy. That's right. Okay, great. Well, we'll take a little break and we'll go watch Cyber Bandits. And when we come back, we'll tell you all about the hacking. I assume there's hacking probably involved. What else? I don't know. Fax machines.
The cyber pistols?
Yeah, this is like mid-90s techno thriller stuff, so it's going to be hilariously outdated. That's all I really know about the situation. So, yeah, anything we should be prepared for, Jameson?
Nothing can prepare you for this, yeah.
All right, great. Well, stay tuned, everyone. We'll catch you in a minute. Fuck, I'm so good at this. I'm so good at podcasting. I'm so good at talking in general.
We've only been doing this for how many episodes now?
I don't know. You know how it works by now. Just come back. Just listen.
Please
to
come
this
back.
charity spot we're putting in right here.
Wow, what a fucking call to action for our fans. Please come back.
This is how we're going to end this part of the episode. Please come back. This week for the charity shout-out, I'm going to talk about the charity our guest is going to mention at the end of the podcast, so spoilers, I guess. Formed in 1976, the Canadian Children's Book Centre are a not-for-profit organization that believes Canadians should be given the opportunity to read books created by Canadian authors and illustrators. The CCBC are dedicated to encouraging, promoting, and supporting the reading, writing, illustrating, and publishing of Canadian books for young readers. Their programs, publications, and resources help teachers, librarians, booksellers, and parents select the very best for young readers. Their various programs, such as Canadian Children's Book Week and the TD Grade 1 Book Giveaway, are designed to introduce young Canadian readers not only to the books all around them, but to the authors and illustrators that create them. To donate to the CCBC, visit bookcenter.ca/support-us/donations. Your money will go towards providing books to kids, supporting Canadian authors through annual literary awards, and sending authors and creators around Canada to reach, read, and enlighten children all across the country. To make a small difference in a child's life, visit bookcenter.ca/support-us/donations. Some sort of delay, right?
Most likely. I mean, I don't know where you are, Montana. I know Kaz is like working off his phone.
We've never gotten that clap right, but it's fine. I managed to find it. As long as someone sends me the thing with the clap involved, I'm able to find it and I'm able to edit it together. The whole editing together 3 different tracks now, it's a lot more streamlined. It's a lot easier before. I'm sure this is fascinating to the listener, and we're back. We're back, by the way. We're back from watching Cyber Bandits. Now, I'm sure we all have a lot of questions. The first question I want to lead us off with, they weren't really cyber bandits. Now, were they?
No.
Because a bandit is someone who steals something so they can resell it for their own personal gain. They were pretty definitively stealing something to keep it away from a worse party so that they didn't use it for their own nefarious means. They weren't really bandits in the traditional sense. I don't know. Did anyone else have that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like they were cyber heroes, if anything. More to like their own personal gains, not really for the world per se. More or less they hate this guy and they just don't want him to succeed.
For the most part of the movie, they didn't really know what they were stealing, or for that matter, what was going on. I've never...
Yeah, in fact, she steals from the main bad guy, not knowing exactly what she's stealing or what its purpose is for. She just thought like, well, he seems to want this, I better keep it away from him.
We just know it's bad. Rarely in recent memory have I watched a movie with a more checked out main character, but boy, this guy does not seem to know what is going on. Nor does it seem like he really gives that much of a shit.
If anything, like, he's not even that proactive as a movie hero. He doesn't fight anyone. Like, I don't think he throws a punch. Like, he has no idea what's kind of going on with the plot. He seems to be very passive about the goings on of the movie. And in fact, twice in this movie, he tries to like hook up with the female lead, and she cock blocks him to remind him, no, wait, we have to resolve this plot. We have to like... she has to remind him, like, no, you're the hero of this movie. We have to, like, save the day.
I love love it because the first time that happens, they're making out on the beach, and yeah, they're about to. Yeah, they don't. There's lots of almost sex in this movie. I don't think they get there until the credits start rolling, but there's lots of almost sex. But the first time it happens is when they're on the beach and they're making out, and yeah, she stops him. And she says, no, I haven't told you what I've stolen yet. I need to explain to you what I've stolen. And then she proceeds to not explain to him what she stole because she doesn't actually know what she stole.
Wait, no, Jack, you haven't even asked me what I stole yet. Tell me later.
Yeah.
Later. Let's have the sewer sex now. Because let's also make sure to point this out that they just crawled out of a sewer onto the beach into each other's arms. Oh, the smell is getting me. Oh, it's turning me on. Ooh.
Different aphrodisiacs for different people, you know.
Fair.
It's the future question mark. We're not super sure what time frame they're in. We have a decent idea of where the movie takes place, but not really any sort of idea of when. But who knows? Sewer play might be like the new thing.
Sewer play.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this movie was filmed in like 1992 or whatever, and I have to imagine it takes place in like the far off distant future of like 2010, and what they imagined the future would be like. That's the kind of retro future, idealized version of what the future's gonna be. That's what we're working with here.
So Jameson, as the person here who's seen this movie the most, do you want to run down the plot for us, or get us started here?
So the movie opens with, God, how do I even fucking start this? There's this bad guy who owns a yacht, and on this yacht we're introduced to like 4 of our major players are introduced in the opening here.
In the space of 2 minutes. But,
yeah.
Well, okay, let's be fair. 3 of the major players. Poor Adam Ant doesn't get much to do in this.
There's this one guy named Jack Morris. He's like the head navigator on the boat. He's sort of a new guy to the evil bad guy's sailing crew.
Can I just clarify something? So this entire place that they're on is a ship, but it's like an island ship.
You think
So,
the island is a boat of its
well,
own?
I think so. I mean, they said they owned the entire place, and they kind of interjected like they kept saying boat and island kind of similarly.
Oh, well, the evil bad guy, like, he owns the yacht, and he's sailing to the island that his company owns. So, like, that, like, hedonistic island paradise is, I guess, owned by, like, this super mega company, and people come from all over the world to hang out there and get their freak on.
Now, they do eventually get around to saying that the name of the island is Pacifica, but they also say on multiple occasions that it's close to or in the vicinity of Pompeii. So we know what region. They kept saying Pompeii over and over again, like it was going to be like an important plot point. My assumption was that the denouement of the movie was going to take place at Pompeii, but they never get there. They just keep name dropping that, and they just keep saying, well, you know, it's around the Pompeii area.
Yeah, just to put you in that frame of mind that it's sort of like in the Mediterranean, even though the island is called Pacifica.
Before we get back to the yacht, you know, we want to talk about the cold open before the credits happen, where we see Dr. Henry Gibson playing, I guess, yet another German character who we will later learn has built sort of this supervillain death weapon that we eventually will learn, the MacGuffin, but he's making some sort of deal with a character who never comes back. It seems like, okay, so there's this disc, this all-important disc that keeps getting passed back and forth, and it seems like Henry Gibson is trying to sell this disc to the guy, but then right before the credits hit, he like tasers the guy and takes the disc back? What was the deal with this?
Yeah, actually, there was no reason for that. Henry Gibson, the German doctor, he already has the disc. He talks to this guy who seems like the kind of guy who would be like a smuggler, and he gives him the disc, and then the smuggler says something flippant to him, and so the evil doctor tasers him and takes the disc back.
And I think the guy, I think Henry Gibson was selling the disc to the guy, and then I think they transferred the money, and then as soon as Henry Gibson got his money, he tasered him and he took the disc back. So I guess he just robbed him. Oh, he's the cyber bandit. There we go. We solved the mystery. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's not important. I don't know why I brought it up. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not important to the fucking movie. So yeah, Jack Morrissey's on the boat with Morgan Wells, who's played by fucking Ted Stryker from Airplane.
The thing I love about Robert Hayes, that's his name? Yeah.
That's the actor's name.
The thing I love about his performance is the first time we see him in the movie, he's having a conversation with someone on the phone, and he's speaking in really hushed, quiet tones, and you get the impression that he's trying to be secret because he doesn't want anyone to overhear his super secret nefarious plan. No, he talks that way through the entire movie. Every line he has is almost a whisper, and it's hilarious.
He was a good bad guy, I thought.
He was
but
great.
in like a very over-the-top 80s bad guy movie kind of way. Some of his lines are... I wrote a couple of them down.
I wrote down a few, too. Yeah, he's got some of the best lines, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great bad guy. So anyways, Morgan Wells has this girlfriend named Rebecca who's, enticing Jack to come over and rub lotion on her. He does so. That puts him in bad standings with the evil bad guy. But I guess that was so the woman knew that she could trust him, because he hadn't worked for the bad guy for so long. I don't know. There's kind of a lot to kind of cover in like the first.
So I didn't understand why he didn't seem to know Morgan or of him, because later on she brought up that he owns the island, and he acted surprised.
Yeah, he's basically Lex Luthor. Yeah, he's just like this evil billionaire who seems to run everything. But Jack is just a character who doesn't seem to care about much. He is charitably, you might call this character, badly written.
Yeah, he's really not curious about anything. They have this opening line from him, in a voiceover, where he says my father was a sailor, and he told me 3 rules of sailing, which are always trust your first mate, trust your captain's compass, and beautiful sirens lead you into the rocks. And that's the most of the backstory we get of this guy. And none of those warnings really kind of inform him as a character. He's very uncurious about anything, and he kind of just seems to be a passenger along for the ride in his own fucking movie.
Now, the first hint that we're gonna have a problem with Martin Kemp's performance in this movie, the aforementioned first mate that you just mentioned is Manny, who's played by Adam Ant. And the first thing you realize is that this movie has cast 2 British pop stars in their main roles, and yet they're forcing one of them to do a horrible American accent. Wow! This was bad. This is 2 movies we've watched with Martin Kemp, and he hasn't been allowed to use his actual accent once.
My father was a sailor, as was his father before him. As a boy, I would get up at dawn and rush down to the docks and wait for their ship to come in. We would sit and listen for hours to tales of their adventures.
Yeah, he really wanted to try his hand at acting. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not the greatest at it. If I could compare it to anything, it would be and this isn't totally fair because I don't think this guy's a bad actor, but he has a very Nicolas Cage when he's not in full insane Nicolas Cage rage mode kind of presence. Yeah, he speaks in very hushed tones. He kind of has this vacant look on his face when he's acting, and he's not in the greatest of leading man shape or look.
Oh, he's in good shape. He's got he kind of has, I don't know, I don't want to immediately poke fun at the guy's looks, but he's a very bland looking dude. Yeah, he's not necessarily a movie star in that sense. I am somewhat curious to check out one of his movies, because I went and I looked up his filmography. The most interesting role on his filmography is him and his brother, who is also a member of Spandau Ballet. They did a movie about the Krays. Are either of you familiar with the British gangsters, the Kray brothers? They were these crazy, violent gangsters. They made another movie about it a few years ago with Tom Hardy called Legend, where he played both of the characters. But I guess this one, they're actual twin brothers in real life. So they did the smaller independent version of that. That's probably worth a watch, if anything, because they actually let him use his actual British accent for once. But doesn't work here. This movie's filled with great characters and great character actors, but Martin Kemp is just a black hole of negative
charisma.
Negative charisma here. Yeah, not so great.
Both lead characters in this movie, Jack and Rebecca, they're not interesting and they're not fun to watch, and yet everyone else in the movie is so much more entertaining and interesting than them. So I don't know what the fuck they were thinking there. So they land on Pacifica and go on their shore leave, and Manny takes Jack to Princess Paula's pleasure palace, this hedonistic den of ill repute, I guess.
This was a fun location. This is really the first time it kind of becomes clear to us that we're in sort of like a futuristic sci-fi technology type of world, because this appears to be like your standard hedonistic nightclub with strippers over here and like dancers in like elaborate costumes. There was one guy who, I don't know if it was just the quality of the YouTube rip we were watching, but there was one male dancer who appeared to have full body paint that made him look like a statue everywhere except his head. Like, it stopped right at his neck. Everywhere else was gray like a statue. He was dancing and gyrating around. I don't know. That was one thing I noticed. But this place has both strippers of the actual and cyber variety.
Montana, didn't you say in the chat that, like, oh, this is a very progressive movie?
Not so much.
Why did you think this was a progressive movie in this scene?
Well, the owner of the club was a very beautiful trans woman that, you know, was out there leading the club. The owner, the two guys that were coming into the club were very friendly, very open, it seemed like a very, like, nice place. You know, you could be any race, color, gender, and just go in there and just have a good time. And I felt like this movie was going to continue that theme throughout, you know, especially with Grace Jones being in this movie. I imagine this was going to be very good. So it kind of got weird, though, when he was kind of going over to the different choices, and he finally lands on the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, American-esque woman, which was really like the highlight of his experience in the virtual world. Obviously not what he wanted, which was kind of that in myself. That was weird. That played very weird for me. Why are you doing this?
Well, yeah, so like he goes through like this selection, or like he picks like two of them beforehand, and their names are like, you've selected pleasure, selection canceled. You have selected lust, selection canceled. And then, like, he settles on,
Hope, I think
the blonde-haired lady named Hope. Selection confirmed. And then during her, like, virtual striptease segment, she's like, you know, do you want me? And he's like, no. Why the fuck do you confirm, like, a selection at all in this? Like, picky, this guy.
There's, like, different, like, you can adjust, after you pick your girl, first this, I want to call it a character select screen. Because that's basically what it is. It looks like he's selecting his stripper like you might choose your character in
like Mortal Kombat character or something, yeah.
And you're right, Montana. It's like weirdly progressive in some ways, and then the opposite of that, and then regressive in other ways. Because the, you know, like the selection thing, like you would think that they might separate it into female strippers and male strippers. No, they just throw them all into the category. There's men mixed in with the women. But when you specifically select the dancer that you want, you can then choose specific attributes. You can make the legs longer, you can make the tits bigger, you can make everything. And we see him going through the catalog and like, oh, add a little bit to this, add a little bit to this. And then virtual reality is him to like a desert island with the stripper in front of him. And, you know, she's programmed to say a certain selection of things, but, you know, like, she's, like, taking her clothes off and is like, oh, do you like me? And then he goes, no, you're not really my type. You specifically chose all these attributes. You adjusted the legs. How is she not? If she's not your type, that is entirely your fault.
I think maybe the movie is, like, trying to imply that Jack's, like, a little more old school. He's not into the newfangled digital porn world. He likes it old school. He likes the touch of a real woman, I suppose, because he keeps trying to get with Rebecca.
And he also flirts with that. He flirts with this one server, and it's like, yeah, it's okay, so he's an old-fashioned guy. He doesn't like the cyber women. He prefers the real women. Okay, go talk to someone then. I mean, I know Rebecca shows up in a second and the rest of the plot goes on, but it seemed like a weirdly stuck-up thing to do. Again, it seems like Jack is new to this future world, and this isn't just his reality that he lives in every single day.
Yeah, like this, like outside of this island, this technology is not available to anyone. That's kind of like the vibe that I got out of it.
There was another moment that, for a split second, I thought was going to be kind of progressive, and then it later turned out not to be. So Manny is hanging out with him, and we see Manny, like, someone catches his eye off screen, and he's all like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to that girl over there. I'll see you later. And then later on in the scene, Manny comes back with his arm candy, and she's a larger woman. Oh, well, that's a pleasant piece of casting. there. They didn't go with, like, the knockout bombshell. Adam Ant has a thing for larger women. That's great. How weirdly progressive. And then, Jameson, you mentioned a line that I didn't catch.
Yeah, so in the moment where Adam Ant, he sees his dream girl.
It's the color of my dreams. I dream big, Jack.
So before you picture this woman, you think to yourself, oh, she's probably like incredibly, leagues above him attractive. And it's, oh no, he generally has a thing for plus size women, way to go movie. And they're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Dream big.
It's like, not only did they throw in a fat joke, it was a badly timed fat joke so that you need to watch the movie more than once to actually get it. Because that would have gone over my head if you hadn't pointed that out.
I mean, this is the benefit of having seen this movie once already. I picked up on that.
Or the detriment, perhaps.
Yeah, really.
You lose points there, Cyber Bandits.
Was there a point where he actually offered her to Jack? Was I weird? Was that her just introducing? He was just like, I would like you to meet someone. And he was just like...
I think he was just introducing her to him. Because he was like, he genuinely liked this girl. So he wanted his friend to meet his lady love.
But then he kind of disregarded them, and he was like, whoa, you guys should not go for Rebecca. Because that was the part that was like, wait, were you just offering, was that you trying to introduce this person to Jax so he has...
Ooh, that's a good point, because this island kind of seems like anything goes kind of thing. So I imagine there's a lot of, promiscuity that goes on in this island hedonistic paradise. So I wouldn't put it past this movie. But I think the larger point about don't go after Rebecca is that girl's trouble, and she's, what the fuck's his name again?
She's Morgan's girl.
She's Morgan's girlfriend, and
don't mess with her. That dame's trouble. Yeah, no, she's a real... I kind of thought early on that this movie might go down a bit of a double indemnity route, and she kind of is, the femme fatale that sort of leads him to danger. Unfortunately, this movie's not quite that smart, but there's a few...
Fuck no!
Are
you kidding me?
What are we talking about here? No, I'm pretty sure Adam Ant was just being all check out my lady. Yeah, pretty jealous, right? And yeah, if this movie were a little more good-hearted, we could cast a larger woman in these roles. I would just like to see that in more movies. People just romancing untraditional views of beauty, please. But
love is love, Yeah.
Cyber Bandits is not the movie for this, unfortunately.
Yeah, you lose points,
yes.
Cyber Bandits. Yeah, so Rebecca leaves Morgan Wells' apartment with the stolen disc with the plans or the code for his super weapon, even though she has no idea what the fuck that really is. But she leaves with it, and she meets up with Jack and says we gotta get this off the island. That's pretty much all you really need to know.
Because that's all that she really knows. She has no idea what this super weapon is. She just knows he wants it, so it must be cataclysmically bad. So she's gonna take it.
So they camp out in this motel where they can plan their escape and maybe leave the next day. Boy, this hotel. So let's just talk about our favorite character, the fucking hotel clerk. This normally this fucking throwaway character who would be totally innocuous in any other fucking movie. This fucking actress, she's like, no, you're gonna fucking remember me.
Every once in a while, you get a minor character introduced into a movie, and it just leaves you wanting an entire movie about the backstory of that character, because she's so weirdly specific. So first of all, when they come into the hotel, they go up to the desk. What is she listening to? She's listening to This Old Man.
Yeah.
She's listening to children's nursery rhymes. I thought it was going to pull back to reveal that she was a young mother and she was rocking her baby. No, she's just rocking out to PBS Kids or whatever.
Yeah, and she's talking to a stuffed coyote.
That's right.
Right in front of the desk. I love how it's right beside the person talking to them, so you can look over and see this dead dog kind of staring at you.
Yeah. And they ask, she's locked eyes with this thing.
And they ask for a room, and her immediate response is she grabs a photo of her mom and dad. It's all this is my mom, this is my dad. These are their windows.
Oh, you want to talk to my parents?
No, we need a room.
This is my mother, this is my father, that is her purse, this is her glove, this is their window.
Yeah, look, we need a room.
The air is clean, and the bed is high. And it's up there.
she just points at other things in the picture. I don't know what to make of this. My initial thought is that, okay, maybe she's learning English and she wants to show off how good her English is, but I don't know.
No, I guess they're dead. She just shows them, a mounted picture on the wall, and boy, you can just tell that, like, Jack and Rebecca are like, just give us the fucking keys so we can get the hell out of here. And she shows up later in the hotel room with like a bucket of shampoo or something for them, and she takes like a little too long to get out. Like, she's so awesomely awkward as a character, and I wish she was in this movie more, because she's great.
Yeah, she has a pretty good send-off, but one of my favorite moments happens when Jack and Rebecca go into their hotel room and, they start getting sexy and they start taking, like, showers and talking about what their plan is. But they walk into the hotel room and Rebecca goes, "Oh man, it's hot in here." And then Jack turns on the fan and the fan doesn't work. And I just love the fact that we live in this future where we have a silent mode in clubs and, like, cyber strippers, but oscillating fans still don't fucking work. Like, I love... Pick and choose the technology that carries over, I guess.
Yeah, fucking air conditioning's expensive.
Still haven't cracked that, yeah.
Yeah. And so, because Morgan has planted these tracking device in Rebecca's earrings, so he sends his 2 goons to the hotel to come after him.
Which they reveal near the end that she has, like, a tracking device in her earrings, but the way that Morgan gifts the earrings to Rebecca, it's all like, oh, okay. So there's like a microchip in the earrings, because you couldn't have made it more obvious when you handed that over.
All the conversation that he has with her, like, prior to giving the earrings, is about, like, how he doesn't like her fooling around with other men or flirting with other men. You're my property. I can't let you out of my sight.
I love how often Morgan is asked a question and he just doesn't answer. Like, he just replies with a look of pure disgust that anyone could ask him a question.
Oh, I mean, at one point, like, his assistant gives him some breakfast.
Yeah.
And he says, like, his breakfast is just like these pills.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says, like, what do you have? I'll have these ones. And he says, like,
if I may, sir, do we want to feel so much rage and hatred? Don't tell me what I crave. I was merely trying to... Don't even think. I do the thinking.
he craves rage and hatred. He's a great villain that way.
So, were those pills emotions, then? Because I'm kind of confused
Great
about,
question.
like... His...
I couldn't tell ya.
I mean, like, because there's the pills, right? So I imagine, like, the red, blue, yellow, he's getting the red one. So I imagine those are rage pills and anger pills. And he's just like, this is good, anger.
Yeah, do they just eat emotions for breakfast in the future? A great question that's never explored. Yeah.
Never.
And because he's the bad guy, he exclusively eats rage.
Yeah. And then he just slaps his manservant and says, "Don't think, I do the thinking." He's so slap happy. This is a great villain.
Fantastic villain. Yeah. So the 2 goons escort Rebecca and Jack to the hotel lobby. One of them knocks over the hotel clerk's prized stuffed dog.
Yeah.
And her response is to bring out a shotgun and lead the fucking shootout that allows Jack and Rebecca to get away.
Yeah, and sadly she does get blown away, but there's not too much more of her. I just want to say, great goons in this movie. Great, excellent goon work from these 2 actors.
So good.
I mean, there are these 2 bald guys. One has, like, you can't see it right away, but when he turns around, he has, like, the massive, like, ponytail on the back.
That is a rat tail, my friend.
The rat tail, yes.
A ponytail implies that there is other hair attached to that. That is stuck on with a suction cup at the back of his head is what's going on there.
Right, you are.
Montana, I want to bring up something you mentioned in the chat. When they're at the club, Rebecca has hidden the disc, the CD disc that has the secret information on it. She's hidden it underneath a fish tank. This disc gets passed back and forth between multiple characters. Not once does anyone think about putting this thing in a fucking jewel case.
No. I mean, the whole thing is like, it's unprotected underneath a fish tank and it's just sitting there. And then she grabs it with her smudgy little fingers. Everyone's grabbing it with their fingers. In the future, no one knows how to use a CD anymore.
Not only does she grab it with her fingers, she immediately puts it next to her sweaty boob meat and she keeps it there for like a couple of hours too. It's all like, yeah, that thing's fucked. That's not readable anymore.
And keep in mind that she just came from the sewer and the beach. So
sand all in her bra,
Exactly.
just scratching the hell out of the
And
disc.
someone even comments on, I think James Hahn commented on earlier when they go to visit him, she takes it out of her cleavage, and he says something like, oh, interesting CD cases. Like, okay, so CD cases exist. They're a thing.
well, then again, she doesn't know what's on the disc. She probably doesn't even know that it is a
She
CD-ROM
knows
and
it's
that you're
important.
supposed to keep those
She
things.
knows you need to be able to read the damn thing.
Maybe that's part of her plan. Just get it completely smudged and scratched and scuffed
Oops.
so that it's completely unusable.
She just pretends like she doesn't know how these things work. Yeah, it's all like...
Yeah. So what the fuck happens then? They run into Adamant at the club, and I guess this is like the next year or whatever, and they say like, can you help us, get this? Like, this is an important disc. We gotta get it off the island, but no matter how we try to go about it, they're gonna search us and they're gonna find the disc. And he says like, I got a guy who can fucking tattoo the digital code onto your body, because that's just something that could fucking happen in the future.
Yeah, I
don't know,
buy
maybe-
that. Sure. I mean, they've already introduced like 5 impossible things in the last 10 minutes. The fact that they're gonna put this computer code on someone's back, that's not unbelievable. The unbelievable thing is that the code for this super weapon, when you spread it out into like a design, the computer code for like this super weapon just so happens to resemble an Ed Hardy t-shirt. It's like a bunch of koi fish all together.
Yeah, in like an infinity symbol or something.
They're like all piled on top of each other swimming, but like he also showed another Ed Hardy tattoo that he did before, cause he was just like, this is my work, and like you see this tattoo, it's like tribal or something, and he zooms in. I just think it has to be some kind of Ed Hardy type thing. Anything that you see a beachgoer wear on their back. I mean, I can imagine that like in the future that there's just coders out there that are tattoo artists. That makes sense to me. It's probably the most plausible thing in this movie.
No, it's not. In fact, I think like something like that is like entirely plausible, but I don't think at the time this movie came out that like that was even remotely in the realm of possibility. That was like the most far-fetched thing they could think of for this like high sci-fi movie. This movie's stupid.
I'm not a computer expert at all. I know that code is made up of ones and zeros, much like it is made in this. But I don't think if you zoom away from the code, it makes a picture. Like, what is that called? Like, you see that on Reddit sometimes when someone will make, like, photos out of letters. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you
triforcing?
mean.
But anyway, what happened? So they go to James Hong.
Yeah, he's like the master tattoo artist, and he has like a very brilliant introduction where he was just given carte blanche to do whatever the fuck he wanted. He comes out, a mask on, and does like this Chinese opera dance to the benefit of no one or nothing. Just he's an eccentric, crazy old man.
The amount of film credits that James Hong has, there's no way that this is the most embarrassing introduction that he's ever had in a movie. Not even close. This wouldn't even crack the top 10.
He's just pretty much the same character. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff where he's like an eccentric guy, and he agrees to do the tattoo. Straps Jack down to the table and says, okay, I'll give you your fucking koi fish binary tattoo. And in the process of doing that, he and Rebecca have like their 3D goggles on, and they have digital sex on the beach for whatever fucking reason. And then the goons storm into the tattoo parlor.
Is that a service that James Hong offers to everyone who comes to get a tattoo? To like take their mind off of the pain. He's like, okay, put on these VR goggles, you're gonna go have sex for like an hour, and when you come back, your tattoo will be ready. Because I'd be covered in tattoos, if that were the case.
Yeah, what happens if you go solo? just a VR masturbation fest?
Yeah, just quietly jerking off in the corner, and you wake up. It depends on how depressing the tattoo is.
You get the CPU player.
Yeah, you don't play local, you play CPU.
we forgot to mention that after they leave the club, the goons show up and shoot Adamant and his lady friend in the head.
I did notice that Adamant didn't seem all that broken up that his dream girl was shot
No,
before his eyes.
because she's not a person. Yeah, so why would he worry about her? He only spent the entire evening in this one location making out with her. He clearly didn't have any sort of emotional attachment to her.
And he didn't give up Jack and Rebecca, so I guess good on him for not being a snitch.
No, Manny's a good character. That's the reason why the only time in the...
He had to die.
Well, that's the reason the only time in the entire movie that Robert Hayes raises his voice above a whisper is when he finds out that Manny died. It's all like, you killed Manny? Who's gonna drive my boat now?
You killed Manny. You should do whatever it takes. You idiot! Now who the hell is gonna run my boat?
Yeah.
Those bodyguards were just so trigger happy. He was like, why are you killing all these people?
You told us to take care of it.
I really did love the one goon with the rat tail. You can definitely tell on the day before they started filming, he went over to the director and was all like, hey Eric, can I have 2 guns? It's like, I know the script only says that I have 1 gun, but I really want 2 guns because I really want to go bam, 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 because that's his one move.
It's like the finger guns way of shooting. Like the recoil on him must have been insane.
Yeah. The face that he made in the last battle when he was doing that straight on shot of like him shooting is just like,
he's having a lot of fun. He's having a lot of fun. He enjoys his gooning. He's a goon who enjoys his work.
It's important to love what you do. The other goon seemed kind of indifferent to everything. Like he mostly let the other guy do most of the talking.
Yeah.
It was, and whenever he did talk, it was always kind of like the funniest line in the movie.
He has one of the funniest lines in the movie, for sure.
So creepy. They're in the bedroom. Rebecca's naked. They're both naked. And he just says the disc is an honor and looks her up and down. just so creepy, as in like, oh, clearly she's naked. Look at her. And the other bodyguard's just like, gives him a look like, dude. And there's like a moment of silence that they all share. It's so beautiful.
There's another scene in the movie where like they apprehend Rebecca and they bring her back to Morgan, and after Morgan like has like this like half second of like monologuing, one of the goons or that same goon just says, "Hey boss, can we get some lunch?"
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. I love that.
Like totally kills the mood.
Jack, my boy, are you that naive? Did you really think I would let her leave? Boss, can we go get something to eat?
Yeah, and Robert Hayes just gives him this look. He's like, I'm doing my villain monologue here. You're really going to yes, go get lunch. Fuck, get out of here. God. Fucking Terry.
He's like Silent Bob, you know, he doesn't say much, but when he does, it's like some of the most important lines in the movie.
So they get away. So they tattoo the code for the super weapon, which we eventually will learn. We'll talk about that in a second because they do eventually tell us what the super weapon is, and it's kind of interesting. But they get the code tattooed on his back. They leave. Goons show up and kill poor James Hong again off camera, right? We don't get a James Hong death scene.
No, we don't. Like we see him struggle, and then Jack's knocked out. And when he comes to, he sees James Hong lying dead on the floor.
And then almost an hour into this hour and 27-minute movie, we finally get Grace Jones as James Hong's niece, which doesn't get an explanation, and that I like. That's like the one thing. Yeah, Grace Jones and James Hong are related by blood. Cool. Don't need to explain that. Let's just move on. That's the one progressive point this movie gets.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, you were saying after an hour of screen time and no Grace Jones, she better get like an amazing introduction. Her introduction is once Jack comes to, for no fucking reason, she kicks him in the head and then reveals herself to be like an amazing wicker costume.
But we could fill up an entire podcast just talking about Grace Jones's costume changes. Every scene she is in, she is wearing a different costume, and they're all amazing. That one that she wears at like her hideout, it's like a puffy winter vest, but the sleeves are like a prom dress. And then she's wearing an Asian style wig, but then when she takes that off, she has aviator goggles underneath it. It's insane.
She has one outfit that's like a burlap sack with a boob window exposing like a bikini top. That wig that you mentioned, like it goes all the way down to her crotch. Like as I was like reading up on Grace Jones, one of the things that I came across was that she was a big influence on Lady Gaga. And I thought,
Yeah,
that's
makes
probably
sense.
a tie to her music thing. And I'm thinking, no, maybe it's the outfits.
That is true. That wig is like a dark-haired version of a wig that Lady Gaga wears early on in her career. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's almost exactly the same kind of wig.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jack teams up with Grace Jones, who is... What did she say she did?
So... See, like,
bioengineering or something
Yeah,
like that.
I wrote it down. It was like, I don't know, something involving cyber. I don't know. She's some the cyber hacker. I don't really know.
She was a cyber bandit.
She's the cyber bandit. That's right.
Just go to cyber bandit shit.
Everyone's a cyber bandit except for our main characters.
You gotta really pay attention to Grace Jones because her introductory scene and like for the next 10 minutes, she lays out a lot of exposition about who she is and more plot is laid out in this window than there has been through the entire first half of the movie. She was like, Wells killed her parents and now she runs like this resistance with 3 other guys to kind of bring down
it's a very
Wells, and they have like a lair in like the middle of a jungle where they set up this tiny little computer lab where they monitor his every move and they're trying to like, bring him down.
I found it. She's a metaphysics expert.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Oh,
I wrote down metaphysics and then I realized I don't actually know what metaphysics is.
Like the study of mysticism?
It's the study of physics, but it's aware of the fact that it's the study of physics.
Self-aware of physics. I get it now.
Okay. So we cut back to the villain's lair and Dr. Henry Gibson, and this is where we finally figure out what the super weapon is. He's built this metal cylinder that when it's paired with the information that is now tattooed on Martin Kemp's back, it will create a virtual reality simulation that will essentially trap the person it fires at inside forever, essentially making them mindless zombies. So the plot of The Matrix, basically, is what this is.
Yeah, it'll imprison people in a virtual reality scape of the firer's choosing. And yeah, that is pretty much The Matrix. Which is without the fucking robot.
Except it wasn't the machines that came up with it, it was the guy from Airplane. I guess he wants to use it because he wants to, like, brainwash entire cities to turn them into zombies. To what end? I'm not really sure.
I felt like he was coming up with that at on the fly at the end. Like he hadn't really thought about what he was going to use it for, and then he's just like spitballing it with it. It's like, could we hook it? Because he asked them, he was like, "Could we hook it up to a satellite?" He's like, "Yes, that could be possible." He's like, "Oh, then we could get a city." And it's like, wait, you didn't?
It's like imagine like an entire army of people using this weapon, and you could probably just go to a couple of world leaders on your own with that weapon and trap them in this dreamscape to make them your slaves or whatever. It was weird.
See, and there's another question is, like, it seems like he wants to use this doomsday weapon as some sort of, I guess he can plant suggestions in people's heads, but then a few scenes later, they kidnap Rebecca and they bring her back to his lair, and he appears to use some sort of truth serum on her. So it's like he already has that technology. If you have that, why not just use that for world domination? Because that seems to work pretty good, whatever it was.
He and the Doctor seem to have like a very tense relationship too.
There's one little flex moment that Robert Hayes continuously does with Henry Gibson where he keeps adjusting like his badge. Like he keeps like moving his clip-on badge from one part on his coat to slightly higher above on his coat. I really loved it. He does it after he shoots Henry Gibson at the end too. He fixes like the thing. It's like a weird little tick he has. I love it. It reminded me of one of my favorite jokes from Third Rock from the Sun, where John Lithgow has been replaced with an evil double, and he's walking around. He's going, "There will be lots of changes around here now that I'm in charge." And he picks up a paperweight. And he goes, "For example, this will go here," and he puts it on a different table. It's like a weird, just like throwing his weight around of something that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, Robert Hayes just like fucking with that Doctor.
Yeah.
And I could see why the Doctor was like kind of sick of his horse shit most of the time.
I mean, kudos for the Doctor for sticking it to him at the end, though. Just like, no, I want more now. all.
I want to be paid for the work that I did.
And also, Robert Hayes, that's a great idea when you have the super weapon to murder the creator of the super weapon and presumably the only person who understands how the super weapon works. Yeah, that's great villain stuff right there. Fucking moron. And also, and sorry, I'll get off on this in a second, but the whole point of this super weapon is that you can kind of like control people to make them do what you do. Why would you kill the doctor? Why wouldn't you just put him in the hypnosis or whatever, and then you can continue to get whatever information you need out of him? It doesn't make sense to kill him.
I don't think that's the nature of the weapon. I think the nature of the weapon is to put someone in like a coma-like state where you can control what the coma they're in is. I don't think, there's no mind control because the device puts them into that virtual landscape forever. That's how it was described. So the person's just lost and is now a zombie.
How does that benefit you as a supervillain? Because
it doesn't.
It's like, you're gonna, because he says, imagine an entire army using this thing. It's like, okay, so you're gonna put your other army in a coma? Why not just kill them? It's gonna have the same, and then now you got all these coma bodies that need to be fed through tubes and everything. You're just creating more work for yourself, Robert Hayes.
And that's why he just takes out a regular handgun and kills the doctor with it.
Yes, thank you.
Because sometimes the old weapons work best. Well, then why don't you fund a fucking private army?
Seems like he has
Why go to all this trouble making this super weapon, this fucking sci-fi dreamscape gun, and when you clearly have enough money and resources to probably fund a private army?
Almost like he doesn't want to kill people.
But he's okay with killing people.
He's super okay with killing people and ordering other people to kill people.
He's full of rage and hatred.
Except Manny.
You are what you eat.
Don't you dare kill Manny!
Yeah, so Grace Jones takes Jack back to the tattoo thing so they can get the tattoo removed because twist, turns out that she's maniacal in her own way. She wants to use whatever kind of information there is on that tattoo so she can become the diabolical supervillain. That's a fucking twist. And then the only reason that Jack gets away from that complication is Wells's goons show up to save him and take him to fucking Wells.
These goons have amazing timing.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they have amazing timing, because before they were just tracking the earrings. But Rebecca's not even there this time, so this time they just show up. This time they just happen to know where Grace Jones' secret hideout is.
No, because she's under the truth serum, they tell him to go to the tattoo parlor.
Okay, that's right. Do you notice, however, even though she's under this truth serum, she still is able to be purposefully vague. Because when he asks her where the information is, she says, it's on Jack. But she doesn't say, it's tattooed on his back. She just says, he has it on him. Well, that's convenient that she's still allowed to, cloud the information up so he doesn't necessarily know where it is.
Yeah, technically not lying, but, just non-specific enough that, there's, a little bit of wiggle room there. I also like when after he gets the information from her, he says, okay, we better sedate her, otherwise she's just going to escape first chance she gets. And she, still under the influence of the truth serum, says, that's true. I could have used a lot more truth serum jokes like that. That's cute.
Alright, so much happens in, the last 10 minutes of this movie, which is kind of where we're at. So it's the big climax in Morgan's lair. Grace Jones and her cronies show up, and there's a gun battle between his goons and her goons. And Robert Hayes gets the upper hand, and he VRs Grace Jones into a situation where she is trapped on the bottom of the sea forever. And I like the way that they show this is they just cut to a shot of waves crashing into a beach. Because originally they included a scene where Grace Jones was drowning in the bottom of the scene, and Grace Jones showed up that day and said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not filming that. I'm not getting in the water. I'm not filming that.
During the kerfuffle, Grace Jones gets a hand of the super weapon, and she tries to use it on Morgan Wells. And, this thing is a long cylindrical tube with a handle and a trigger, and the way that it looks is that it's supposed to be held like a shotgun, and that you point this at a guy. So it doesn't work on her because she doesn't know the actual instructions on, you speak the...
Voice activated, yeah.
It's voice activated where you say what kind of reality you want to project, and then you hold it vertically, and then the fucking Men in Black mind wiper thing, it flashes and gives you the fantasy world. But, you could be forgiven in thinking, no, it's supposed to be held and used like a gun. It's a virtual reality looking gun.
I think originally...
It looks stupid as hell when it's held upwards.
Originally, I think it was supposed to be like that, because the scientist made a comment at the beginning. He's just like, oh, we've changed how it works. We've simplified it. Now you speak into it and do that. So maybe they did have it like a gun that you kind of had to type in what you wanted and then shoot.
And by simplify, we of course mean needlessly complicated it. Do you know what it really reminded me of just looking at it? Do you remember the Super Scope?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like a Super Nintendo peripheral.
For all we know, it very well could have just been one.
Yeah, they just spray painted
the
one
cylindrical
gray.
tube on it looked like shit, really. Even on like those standard def cameras and on like the YouTube rip that we watched this on, it looked like shit.
I mean, it looked like a baseball bat. It just looked like a straight up baseball bat, which I think Jack, he used at the end. He was swinging it wildly like a baseball bat.
Yeah, eventually Robert Hayes is hoisted by his own petard and he's sent into his VR hellscape or whatnot, but for a while there, it really looked like Jack was just gonna beat him to death with the super weapon. Would have been a better ending, and would have been poetic because it shadows the whole the old weapons are the best weapons thing that Morgan was saying earlier.
Yeah, and Jack's like, shown earlier in the movie to be like a very low-tech kind of guy who doesn't like the future stuff. He likes the old-fashioned methods. But yeah, Rebecca and Jack get away and they get aboard Morgan's yacht because she manages to convince like whatever deckhand is on there that, oh, hey, Morgan wants us to go out on the water. Like, do you really gonna question the authority of Morgan Wells' girlfriend? Like, you better okay it or I'm gonna report you. And I'm thinking, in the time that she's escaped from his office, he didn't send out like a big APB to all of his subordinates that like, hey, my girlfriend's on the run. Like this one guy didn't know about that.
Well, see, this is why he's super mad that they killed Manny, because this shit never would have happened on Manny's watch. Also, as we soon find out, Jameson, it doesn't matter because Morgan clearly has been hiding on the boat this entire time.
I love that. Like, there's no scene of him like riding up on a boat or landing by helicopter. He was just always on that fucking boat with them when they took off.
Yeah, because they steal the yacht. This is like 5 minutes before credits roll. They steal the yacht and they're talking. Man, those goons sure seem to find us with no problem, huh? And then they slowly piece it together. Oh, it's the earring. The earrings have like the thing. And then they turn around and Robert Hayes is right on the boat. There's no way that could have happened if he wasn't hiding on the boat before they even got there.
So the guy knew then.
He must
ship
have.
Guy.
Otherwise, or it's just a massive continuity error. Either or. I could believe both.
There is one super fucking convenient thing that happens around this time. So, just as like all hope seems lost with Morgan encountering Jack and Rebecca on the boat with the mind wipe gun, who should come to save the day but the fucking Morgan's assistant, his manservant.
Yeah, the fucking valet who gave him
the rage pills.
The emotion pills for breakfast. Yes, remember that all-important character? Yeah, he technically saves the day.
He attacks Morgan from behind, gets the super weapon away from him, and says like, oh, I've always wanted to be on the winning team.
Then why were you working for a supervillain?
Yeah. And more to that point, it seems like Morgan was on the path to victory.
And he was his drug dealer, right? Let's just be clear about this. He was the guy feeding him the pills, so he could have killed him at any point. That's like what I really didn't get, why you're yelling at the guy that feeds you these pills that you can't look inside.
Yeah.
He could have easily at any point been like, death.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then walk away.
If he's the one in charge of his emotional breakfast pills or whatever the hell they are, if Morgan's annoying him or like talking down to him or whatever, just replace his rage pills with sorrow or regret, just like change the color.
Yeah.
You are in charge of his emotions and his attitude, and he never took advantage of that once.
Very true. But apparently this whole time, he hated his guts, and that's why he wanted to help out Jack and Rebecca. We don't know who the fuck this guy is. Like, did he have any kind of relationship with Grace Jones's parents or anything like that? No, he's just the secretary of Wells, and he's sick of his shit, so he wants to help out the good guys.
What does he hit him with? Does he hit him with a serving tray? I don't remember, but in my head, it feels like he hit him with a serving tray, and that would just...
That or like a skillet or something.
I think it's the serving tray. And his name's Marcel.
Marcel, yes. We should give credit where credit is due. Marcel, thank you for saving the day.
And cleaning up the mess with the creepiest line of the movie. Don't worry, I'll clean this mess up.
This brings up my earlier point, because they point the super weapon at him, and Martin Kemp says, go to hell, Robert Hayes, and we see him. This is another hilarious moment where we see, like, the walls of CGI flame engulf Robert Hayes, and he just starts screaming, no! But then, like, mid-scream, it cuts to their reaction shot, and he's just, like, standing there perfectly silent. It's so, the cut is so funny. But then afterwards, someone has a line pertaining to the fact that they're just gonna dump his body into the water along, I guess, with the super weapon. And it's like, again, just kill him. This seems like a very long-winded way. What you have is a super weapon that puts people into comas. Just disintegrate them, or something. I don't know, like a coma gun seems like way more work. It requires a lot of cleanup.
I would just chuck his body overboard. Like, if he's comatose like that, he's not gonna swim. No one's gonna find him out in the middle of nowhere like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
you
just
know what
gonna
else
drown.
does the job? A gun.
And the movie ends with Rebecca and Jack about to consummate their love, but she says, oh, what do we do with the fucking super weapon? And because Jack's fucking horny as hell and has a one-track mind, he's like, we'll just sell it to somebody. Like, no, motherfucker! Like, destroy this weapon! For God's sake!
You have learned nothing. You've gone on this whole journey with this woman, and you have learned nothing. And so, like, what are we gonna do with this weapon? Oh, we'll just sell. Yeah, you're gonna sell it to another supervillain. No, this is the entire point of this.
Stop thinking with your dick for one goddamn second and, like, try to resolve this fucking plot. It's hilarious.
He just wants to finally seal that deal, man. The only sex he's had is virtual sex, and he keeps getting interrupted with the plot of this stupid movie. So he's all like, fine, we'll just fucking sell it. I don't care, whatever. All right.
And that's the movie.
That's the movie.
Fucking movie.
Oh, and how they destroy it. I feel like that needs to be clarified because they didn't really know how the device worked, and they just threw it out the window. That shit could have been waterproof. It could be just floating out in the ocean, ready for someone to just come.
They mentioned that they're going to throw it over. We never actually see them do it, so they might change their mind.
Weren't they in the bed and she did it like through the porthole?
Yeah, I think she threw it out the porthole.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, if they did that, they didn't shoot it in a way that was obvious to me, because I missed that entirely. All right. Were there any other moments that either of you noticed or wrote down that we didn't mention that we need to talk about?
One thing that I noticed that just gave me like a really big chuckle was after they escape from the sewer and get off the beach, they're walking through the village in the fresh light of day. No one's out partying anymore. Now, like, it's just like they clean up the next day. They pass by this one really greasy, sketchy looking dude under a neon sign that says pleasure. And he's like reading a paper with like, you know, the cigarette in his mouth, and like, he's got like the long stringy hair. And I thought, like, wonder what kind of pleasure this man offers. Probably anything. I don't know. On this like hedonistic pleasure island kind of place, I can imagine there are better places where you can spend your money than under this gentleman. And I know he's like probably just some dude chilling under a neon sign that says pleasure, but I like to think he offers a service.
Right.
I mean, I found it just super interesting. In the club, they had the computers, the virtual computers with the porn monitors. And I was just thinking, I was like, is that such a strip club bar that also has people watching porn inside of it? So are there private rooms for people to jack off?
Yeah.
Do you have orgasms in the virtual reality? I'm sorry, I guess I have more questions than comments.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I want to just pick the brain of the director is really what I want to do, is just ask them.
You'd think if they implemented all this new smut technology, they'd figure out a way for people to climax and then like clean up the mess afterwards, because that's what everyone wants to do in a strip club anyway. And by I feel like I've just implicated myself. That's what everyone does in the strip club, right, guys?
Speak for yourself, Kaz.
But by adding additional cyber porn, you're just increasing the amount of masturbation that people want to do in that situation.
We probably just didn't see the drainage tubes underneath the table. That's all.
That's a question I don't need answering, you know? Like, why go to a fucking strip club if you're just gonna watch porn? Why not watch porn from, like, the comfort of your fucking hotel room? If it's the future, you'll get porn on your phone. No problem. I guess that was inconceivable back in the fucking 90s.
Well, welcome to Pleasure Island. We have a bounty of flesh for your perusal and enjoyment. Please attach this tube to your penis. Yeah, it's a bit of a mood killer.
Yeah.
I don't so much have a moment from the movie that I want to point out, but I did find one kind of fascinating piece of trivia as we were watching this movie. Something we didn't talk about is who the screenwriters for this are. One of them is no one to write home of. He wrote a bunch of lame-looking superhero comic book type movies. The other one, using a pseudonym, is James Goldman. Now, that name isn't like immediately familiar to me. It may not be familiar to most people. But when I looked up what he did, he wrote The Lion in Winter, the original play, The Lion in Winter, one of the classic plays of the 20th century, how on earth how hard up for money must he have been that he accepted a punch-up job on Cyber Bandits?
Are you sure it's the right guy?
That's what IMDb says. I'm just going off of that.
I mean, I get it.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know, someone's just like, hey man, I heard you been out of work for a couple of months. I got this project coming up. It's called Cyber Bandits. No, just hear me out on it. You just punch it up a little bit. We got some good actors. We even have Grace Jones.
You get to meet her.
Grace Jones, the Katharine Hepburn of her day, as everyone called.
Montana Kaz, would either of you recommend this movie to other people? Did you enjoy it enough that you would want other people to check it out? I myself had enjoyed this movie, and in fact, I recommended it. We watched it for this episode.
So now we know that.
Yeah, so how about you guys personally?
Would I recommend this to someone? I guess if someone was asking, hey, can you recommend me a sci-fi that isn't too much of a sci-fi movie, has a couple of funny moments in it, and doesn't take itself too seriously, I'd probably recommend this to them.
Yeah, this was an enjoyable watch. I didn't find anything terribly offensive about it. It had a couple of plot elements that were a little yucky, but you can kind of chalk that up to being of the time. It was a light, enjoyable watch. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than My Brother the Pig, so that's something going for it. Yeah, this is available on YouTube. Anything we talked about sounded interesting? Yeah, sure, give it a watch. It's a light, breezy hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a breezy B-movie schlocky piece of shit that you'll get a kick out of laughing. There's, like, the special effects are ridiculously stupid looking and because they're dated, but, also absurd in their own way, and, there's, like, the dialogue makes no sense. This is a fine movie if you're looking for, like, some B-movie schlock to check out and have a chuckle at.
On that note, Montana Rosalle, thank you so much for being the guest on The Fuck Is This today. Is there anything you got going on that you'd like to plug? And also, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about YVR Dungeon Masters and what exactly that is and what you do there?
Yeah, sure. YVR Dungeon Masters is a local nonprofit organization in Vancouver, co-founded by me and another person. What we do is we actually try and connect people to tabletop games, trying to build community and creativity in our area. We just finished up charity that we raised $1,200 for the Canadian Children's Book Center, and we're going to be doing more stuff in the future. We do events for people to come learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons. We also have like DM discussions to connect people in the community together. And if you want to check out more about what we're up to, you can check us out at www.yvrdungeonmasters.com.
Do you got any interesting games coming up that you want people to check out, or anything else you got going on in your life that you want to plug right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you liked watching Dungeons and Dragons stuff, you can check me out Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock PSTs. That's our time zone, right? Yeah, you can check us out
it's
6 p.m. PST. Yeah, something like that. Playing D&D Let's Play. It's called Revenge of the Gith, where this Gith armada enters into the world and starts trying to take over. They clear out the Underdark of all the inhabitants and to try and attack mind flayers. So it's a pretty interesting campaign. I play Throck the Unsatisfied. It's like crocodilian druid that just has an insatiable hunger for food and life. Mostly food.
You said a whole bunch of words just now. Let's back up a little bit. What is a Gith?
Okay, so a Gith is this type of race. It's like this alien greenish looking, no nostrils, got like the ears and stuff. It's from this place called the Astral Plane, and I could go into detail about this.
Sure.
But they're like space pirates essentially in the D&D universe.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, if you want to learn more about that, follow the information that Montana just gave you and check out his stuff on Twitch. I know for me, I've only played Dungeons and Dragons a handful of times, but I've also watched a couple people play Dungeons and Dragons, and that can be a lot of fun because it's basically just improv. Jameson.
Big fan of D&D myself. My buddies and I are doing a campaign that my buddy came up with where we are all turtles in the vein of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and because we're super casual about play sessions as well, it's good to have a little bit more of a laid back theme to it, or something that we could all get into. But and we have a fantastic DM who's very patient with how much we tend to screw around in this world. He spent hours and hours creating for us.
The last time I played Dungeons and Dragons, I was a half orc. I thought I was very clever because my name was Mahershala Ali. Since the time I've created that character, he has gone on to win 2 Academy Academy Awards, so that joke's not funny anymore because everyone knows who he is. So I need to think of another actor with a fun name to say.
The very first Dungeons and Dragons game that I played, I was a half-elf sorcerer, and my name was Mozilla Firefox.
Nice! Oh man, that's great. That's genius. I love that.
Can't take it, that's mine.
Jameson, you got any quick plugs?
Plugs? Not so much. Work is powering through, so like, everyone look out for the DLC of MechWarrior 5, because that should be coming out relatively soon. I'm watching Season 4 of The Crown, which is a show that I am very surprised at how much I like, and I'm also watching Season 4 of Fargo, which is a show, probably one of my top 3 shows of all time. I love Fargo.
The new one with Chris Rock.
That's right, yeah.
I'm really interested in Chris Rock's new turn into dramatic leading man. I love it when comedians do that, so I'm very curious to see.
No, he's in good company of like, actors or comedians taking like on serious dramatic roles.
Watch that, because who knows if that Saw movie he made is ever going to get released. So yeah, fill the time up with Fargo. It'll probably be better. Since the last time we recorded, all I have done is edit the previous episode and completely overhaul my apartment. I have not had time to watch anything or listen to like a new podcast. And so the only thing I really want to recommend is I want to recommend a YouTube channel that I've been kind of fascinated with for a little while. It's called A Fox in Space. And but what this guy has done is he's taken the plot of the video game Star Fox and he's animated it to resemble sort of like that scuzzy sort of animation style from like the 70s, because it kind of looks like Fritz the Cat or Rock and Roll or Heavy Metal. And he's even gone so far that he's taken the voice acting and he's added like an echo effect, so it sounds like they recorded in a tunnel or something. There's one full 20-minute episode, and then the rest of it is just bite-sized little clips of a much larger narrative. It seems like what he's done is he's written a full Star Fox movie, and it's taking him forever to animate it because it's gorgeous. He'll just show these standalone scenes that are removed from the narrative, and you don't really know what's going on. But I just found myself rewatching these 2-minute clips over and over again because the atmosphere and the detail that he's put into this is fascinating. It is literally like watching a Star Fox cartoon from 1979. So go look at that. Support him, because that's a wildly creative way to take an intellectual property and do something really unique. And I hope this guy gets enough money so that he can create his full Star Fox movie one of these days, because it's fantastic. So Fox in Space, go check that out.
Hopefully Nintendo doesn't shut him down.
I'm surprised he hasn't gotten litigation at this point, yeah, because pretty big dicks that way. Anyway, that was Cyber Bandits, directed by Eric Fleming. You can follow us on Instagram at the F Is This Podcast. Stay toasty inside and keep reducing your personal bubble. If you want to be a film detective and recommend a movie for us to watch, you can email us at tfitpodcast@gmail.com. And frogs. Did you like that? Was that subtle enough for you, Jameson?
What the hell are you doing, Kaz?
I don't know.
Montana, did you follow any of that?
I stay inside.
Yeah, he got
Agreed.
it. Yeah, Montana got it. He's nodding his head. Yeah. Fantastic. All right, cool. Now I have no idea how to end this, so, Anyone know any good jokes?
A race car driver looked at another race car driver, and he said, "You know what? Sometimes life can be a real drag."
Good night, everybody!